Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today I want to show you another extra credit problem. Okay, so again, if you are my students, please go ahead and try to solve it. If you want to, I'll give you extra credit no matter which class you're taking with me. And if you're not one of my students, have a crack at it, send me an email and I'll tell you if you did it right or wrong. Okay, let's do it. So here's the scenario. So devil, some kind of villain devil, somebody stole you and your friend, so he kidnapped you and he put you in jail in two completely separate cells. You cannot talk to each other, you cannot see each other, you cannot send any messages, any text messages, you don't have any phones, so there is no way to communicate between you and your friend. And then after doing that, what he's doing, he is going to flip coin, like completely regular coin, so 50-50% of tails coming up and heads coming up. So he's going to flip that infinite amount of times. Okay, so theoretically it's possible. In practice, that's of course impossible. But let's say infinite amount of time. So he's gonna do it until for hundreds of years. Anyway, so he's gonna flip the coin infinite amount of times, and he's gonna tell you only outcomes, only odd outcomes, right? So he's gonna tell you what happened for the first toss-up, for the third, for the fifth, for the seventh, and so on. Okay, so for example, let's say here's the sequence: tail, heads, heads, tail, heads, tail, heads. Okay, and he's gonna tell you that for the first toss-up there was a tail, for the third one there was a heads, fifth one was heads, seventh one was also heads. Okay, and for your friend, he's gonna do the opposite. He's gonna tell him only even outcomes. Okay, for the second one there was a heads, for the fourth one there was tails, for the sixth one there was also tails, and so on and so forth, right? So it's like absolutely infinite amount of those numbers. And here's the deal: he's gonna free you he's gonna ask you a question. He's gonna ask you and your friend a question. Okay, so he's gonna ask you and your friend to come up with a number which you do not know outcome of. So for example, for you, he's gonna ask one of the even numbers, right? Because you do not know what happened with the even outcomes. So he's gonna ask you an even number, and he's gonna ask your friend odd number, right? Which he doesn't know outcome for. So for example, you'll be able to pick like either 2 or 4 or 6. He'll be able to pick either 1 or 3 or 5 or 7, and so on. Of course, again, infinite amount of those numbers. And after that, so for example, if you say, let me get a marker. If, for example, you say 2, okay, and your friend says, let's say 3, okay, so you say 2 and he says 3. In this case, the devil is going to look at the second outcome, right, so which is heads, and he's going to take a look at the third outcome, which is also heads. And if they're the same, in this case, he's going to let you free. Okay, so you kind of win this game. If they're different, if they happen to be different, right? So for example, if you pick, so you can only pick even, right? So yeah, if you pick 4 and your friend picks 3. Okay. In this case, yeah, so your friend picks 3, right, which is heads, and you pick 4, which is tails. Okay. In this case, those guys are not different, and you lose. Okay, so you die, or he does something with you. Yeah. Right. So obviously, if you randomly pick a number, right? So for example, you randomly picked a number, you picked number 2. Okay, so that turned out to be heads, and he randomly picks a number. Let's say he picked, I don't know, 7. That turns out also to be heads. Okay. In this case, the probability of you winning or losing is 50-50%. Right, so what's the probability of 2 random tosses of the coin being the same? 50%, right? So there is no way, there's no argument, it's obvious, right? However, if you come up with some kind of strategy, right? So if you discuss with your friend what you're gonna do, how you're gonna pick that number, right? There is a possibility for you to increase the chance of winning this game. So the question is, what strategy should you and your friend agree upon such that the probability of you winning this game would be any greater than 50%? Yeah. So again, absolutely normal coin, okay? It has like 50-50 probability of coming up with heads or tails, okay? So you have no control over that. The sequence is absolutely random. It doesn't repeat at all, ever. well, it may repeat or may not repeat, right? So you have no control over that. So for example, I don't know, if you have, like if you look at the sequence and you have, I don't know, tails, tail, 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 right? Then the probability of head coming up next is still 50%, right? So that's how the probability works. So you cannot rely on that. So you can't really say, like, for example, I'm going to wait for like 500 tails, and then after that, most likely there's going to be head, right? No, it's still 50%, so that's not going to change anything. Yeah, if we translate this problem into more computer science way, right? So you can basically say that you're given an infinite array of Boolean values, right? So head, tails is basically the same thing as 0 or 1. It doesn't matter. So you have an infinite array of Boolean values. Right, and you kind of need to do the same thing. You need to pick randomly two indices, which will be the same. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so come up with a strategy. Calculate the probability. It has to be greater than 50%, and I'm gonna give you 2% extra credit if you do it correctly. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you later. Bye bye.